Hello, and welcome back to another Chris McPherson Show Daily Dose. It is time to wrap day 8 of the Australian Open. Look ahead to day 9. Things are continuing to heat up. Some names are starting to certainly fall, and there's lots happening as we head towards quarterfinals, wrapping up fourth rounds, and plenty more happening at Melbourne. Of course, if you want to keep up to date with all of your tennis news on the daily and much more across your sporting landscape, make sure to hit subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so that you get those notifications all the time, letting you know when we're dropping another episode. And of course, hit like on the video as well. And we'd love your thoughts on the videos. Get involved in the comments. Don't be shy. Let us know what your takeaways are. What have we got right? What have we got wrong? Where have we slipped? Where have we absolutely nailed it? But let's get underway with the recaps from day 8 and the seeds that fell. And there was certainly plenty of seeds that fell and some interesting matches and takeaways as well from them. A plethora of fourth round matches as people started to book their tickets to the quarterfinals and onwards from there. Let's start with the 18th seed in the men's, Francisco Cerundolo. A wonderful run all the way to the quarterfinals. He came up against the third seed, the German in Alexander Zverev. And it was a straight sets march, as all of the men's matches were today. 6-2, 6-4, 6-4. Cerundolo's Australian Open dream over. Zverev, again, as he's done for so many occasions here at the Australian Open, pushes through to the quarterfinals. Is going to be a huge clash for him. He will take on Tien, the 25th seed, defeating Daniil Medvedev, the 11th seed, the Brisbane champion, 6-4, 6-love, 6-3. A clinical performance by Tien. Daniil Medvedev certainly seemed quite upbeat after the match. I think he just knows that he was outplayed in this one, and Tien's obviously well and truly on the rise. Player who continues to drive his way up the rankings, and I think he'll be one that we'll watch, maybe pushing towards that top 10 later in the year. We also had Tommy Paul, the American, the 19th seed, defeated by the number 1 seed, Carlos Alcaraz. Alcaraz doing what he does best, 7-6, 6-4, 7-5. Paul made him work for it, but he looked like he only sort of got to fourth gear, to be fair to Carlos, most of that match. He has some more in the tank, and that's ominous as he heads towards the quarterfinals and possibly and probably onwards and upwards from there. Moving on to the women's side of the draw, we'll come back to the fourth men's match in a moment. Karolina Muchova, the 19th seed, was defeated by the third seed, Coco Gauff, 6-1, 3-6, 6-3. This was the only match that went the distance in either the men's or the women's today, or certainly went beyond straight sets. Muchova, a slow starter. She fought back and tried to get into the arm wrestle in the third, but Gauff was too strong, and she will now look to shake up and see who she takes on next, which is only just wrapped up on Rod Laver Arena, her next opponent. And her next opponent will be Alina Svitolina, who defeated the 8th seed, the 12th seed Svitolina, defeated the 8th seed in Mira Andreeva, the young Russian, one of a number of teenagers to bow out today. 6-2, 6-4, and she goes through to a 14th Grand Slam quarterfinal for Svitolina. She's always been omnipresent around the slams, and it's certainly been wonderful to see, and it's great to see her husband, Gael Monfils, being there alongside her in his final year on tour as well. So she will head through to the quarterfinals where she will take on Coco Gauff. That'll be a huge one. Speaking of teenagers like Andreeva that bowed out today, the number 17th seed, Victoria Mboko, the Canadian youngster. She was defeated by the number 1 seed, Aryna Sabalenka. Sabalenka blitzed through the first set, 6-1, before Mboko took it to a little bit more in the second set, but it was too little too late. 7-6 in the second. So Sabalenka now marches on to a quarterfinal with another teenager where she'll take on young American, the 29th seed, Eva Jovic. Now, she didn't defeat a seed today. She did knock out the villain, apparent Yulia Putintseva, who's certainly drawn the ire of Australian crowds, and we've talked about that a little bit already. But I wanted to touch on Eva Jovic here because she played against Putintseva, who is a proven performer, and beat her love and won. That is absolutely huge, but even bigger than that will now be a clash in 2 days' time in a Grand Slam quarterfinal with the world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka. I really can't wait for that. That's going to be absolutely huge. The world number 1 up against the American 18-year-old. We move on to the final match from today, and that takes us to Aussie Watch. Alex de Minaur coming up against Alexander Bublik. And I tell you what, it's a good news story being Alex de Minaur at the moment, playing some wonderful tennis and getting it done against Bublik in convincing fashion. Straight sets for him today on Rod Laver Arena, 6-4, 6-1, 6-1. He absolutely raced through this match and booked himself a quarterfinal matchup, which is going to be a great opportunity now for him as he pushes through into the quarters. It's going to be a big question whether or not he can go much further, though, because he does come up against Carlos Alcaraz, which is going to be a big match. And we know those head-to-heads with him and the top two in the world are not all that favourable. But you've got to be in it to win it, I suppose. And the Aussie crowd will be behind him on Rod Laver Arena in a couple of days' time. We move from Aussie Watch into Aussies in Action, and we've got Madison Inglis coming up against Iga Swiatek. This one tomorrow night on Rod Laver Arena. Really looking forward to seeing this. The world number 2 versus the world number 168 coming into the tournament. That is absolutely huge. They've played once before, these two, on the hard courts, and it does sit, unsurprisingly, in the favour of Iga Swiatek. Swiatek has a positive record on hard courts every season going back to 2018 and has been in really good form leading in. Inglis in strong form as well herself, it's fair to say. She's managed to string together 5 wins and then that walkover against Naomi Osaka so far this year. But as I said, Swiatek, a huge ranking buffer, also holds the head-to-head buffer. They played at the Adelaide International way back in 2021 when Swiatek was the 5th seed, beating Inglis at qualifier 1 and 3. And as much as this is a wonderful narrative and it'd be a great story, I just don't have any way that this plays out when Madison Inglis makes her way through to the final 8 here. Opportunity for her, main session, up against Swiatek, under lights. It'll be wonderful, but I think it's going to be over not much after it starts, to be fair. I think Swiatek will get this one done. It'll probably be 3-2 or 3-1, something like that. And Iga will march through to another Grand Slam quarterfinal. But as I said, it'll be a wonderful story. Inglis's ranking will be boosted. She'll move up towards her best ever ranking, previously 112 at the wrap of this tournament. Moving on from there and into the matches not to miss. And normally we would have 4 fourth-round matches on either side of the draw, the men's and the women's. But tomorrow it will just be 3 men's matches. Jakub Mensik has withdrawn with an abdominal injury, was scheduled to face Novak Djokovic. Djokovic automatically advances through to another quarterfinal and adds to his burgeoning record as he tries to chase another slam just to add to that record-breaking tally of his the number 4 seed. So he will go straight through, get a few days rest, which undoubtedly will be great for him, and await his next opponent, which is going to be an interesting piece of, I guess, entertainment for him as he sits in wait and the players play that out. But let's talk about the men's matches that will go ahead. In the afternoon on Rod Laver Arena, we're going to have a clash here between Lorenzo Musetti, the 5th seed, and Taylor Fritz, the 9th seed. These guys have played 6 times before head-to-head. It is 3-3, all locked up. Surprisingly, never on a hard court. They've played twice on clay, twice on indoor hard court, and twice on grass. So, interesting matchup. Musetti in good form this year. He's only dropped the 1 match. As I say, they've played at some of the biggest tournaments previously. They've played twice at Wimbledon. Musetti won that in 2024. They played once last year at the ATP Finals. Fritz got that done. They played in the Olympics in 2024. Musetti winning those ones 3 times in 2024, interestingly enough, at the Rolex Masters, Wimbledon, and the Olympics. So 3 of the last 4. This is going to be a cracking match. Fritz has been in good form. He's played well. He's certainly surprised me, I think it's fair to say, in how convincing he's been in some of his matches. Musetti had to work hard in the 3rd round to get past Thomas Mahatch in 5 sets. He also had to really go toe-to-toe with Rafael Collignon in that 1st round as well. So he's played plenty of tennis. Taylor Fritz getting past Stan Wawrinka that last round, that was impressive as well. I think I'm leaning to Musetti here. Fritz's game probably suits the hard courts a touch better, but I think Musetti's in a bit better form at the moment. So I'm going to go Musetti to take this one out in 4/5 sets, but I'll go with 5. This one goes the distance and Musetti gets it done and continues to try and solidify himself in that race for the number 3 ranking in the ATP Tour rankings. We move on to our next match, and it will be the all-Italian clash. Luciano Darderi up against Yannick Sinner, the number 2 seed versus the number 22. This one will be on John Cain Arena, interestingly enough. I'm not sure how Yannick Sinner is going to feel about that one, but that's where he's drawn. Both these guys, again, really strong records so far this year. Surprisingly, again, as 2 Italians on the rise, only a year apart in age, they've never played each other on the tour. So Not a lot you can take from that head-to-head, but again, you've just got to lean towards Sinner. He's an absolute hard-court specialist. I know Darderi did well getting past Hatchinoff in 4, but Sinner had a little bit of a bump against Elliot Spazzeri. But again, I just think he'll be too strong here for Darderi. It's a matter of in what sort of distance. Is it going to be 3? Is it going to be 4? I'm going to go Sinner just to reset, get this one done in straight sets against his countryman. I think Darderi might be overawed by the occasion, despite it being on the, the third string court in John Cain Arena. And then the final of our men's matches sees the 12th seed in Casper Ruud, former world number 2, come up against Ben Shelton, who is absolutely flying at the moment. He has been just rocking through his matches here. Straight sets on every match. For Ruud, just the 1 set dropped against Marin Cilic. He's got past Jean Mounard as well. So, again, really looking forward to seeing this one. Shelton, obviously a hard court specialist, I think it's fair to say. Ruud did get him on the hard courts in 2024, but this is a very different Ben Shelton we're seeing now. So I'm going to go Shelton to get this one done in 4 sets. I think he'll be too strong for Casper Ruud, despite the fact that Casper Ruud is starting to show some more positive shoots again, which is wonderful for him, and he may well push back towards that top 10 this year as well. We move on to the women's matches, and we start with the All-American clash. The 6th seed, Jessica Pegula, up against the 9th seed, Madison Keys, the defending champion. This one will be on Rod Laver Arena to start the morning. And, certainly going to be interesting. The 2 Americans, the defending champion, up against Pegula. A strong head-to-head record when you have a look at it. Keys has won the last 2, including beating Pegula in Adelaide earlier this year. She's also beaten her at the US Open back in 2023. You have to go back to 2022 for Pegula's win over Keys in the San Diego Open quarterfinal. Look, Keys just seems to take it to another level here in Australia. I think the slightly slower courts that the Australian Open is dishing up compared to a couple of the other tournaments on the hard courts to start this Southern Hemisphere summer swing, as you'll call it, probably suit her a little bit better. But Pegula has been clinical. She has dropped just 10 games to win 3 matches so far here. She was strong at Brisbane as well after a little bit of a slower start, getting past Kalinskaya, Yastremska, and Samsonova before falling to the eventual winner. So look, this is going to be an absolute belter. I think it's going to go the distance. I'm going to go with Jessica Pegula, despite the fact that Madison Keys is the defending champion. I think this is where her road ends. I've got Pegula winning this one in 3. I'm thinking this is going something like 6-7, 7-6, 6-3 to Pegula. I think the first 2 sets will be tight, and then Pegula will manage to get the upper hand in this one. We move on to the penultimate of our matches to talk through, and we've got Amanda Anisimova coming up against Wang Xinyu from China. Xinyu's been one of the surprise packets of this tournament. She's in some really good form to start the year. She made it to the final in Auckland, where she went down to Alina Svitolina, who we talked about a little bit earlier. She's got past Elena Ostapenko and Linda Noskova in this tournament. And then on the other side, you got Amanda Anisimova. Hasn't dropped a set, has dropped 5 games in every match so far, including getting past Peyton Stearns in the 3rd round. I don't know that I find a path here for Wang, but again, she has surprised me already. But I've got Anisimova just being clinical. I tipped her to win the tournament. I'm still backing that. I still think she's the one to beat. And I think she'll get this one done, maybe 6-3, 6-3, and advance through to the quarterfinals. So Anisimova to lock in a quarterfinal berth here. And last but definitely not least, the number 5 seed, Elena Rybakina, comes up against the number 21 seed, Elisa Mertens. Mertens, another one who has certainly proven me wrong already. I thought that she would fall to Barton Cova in the last round. Rybakina's got past Valentova, so both getting past Czechs in straight sets in the last round. Both have won all 3 matches in straight sets, and what a head-to-head record these guys have got. They've played quite a number of times already, 7 times in their career, and it's 6-1 to Rybakina, including August last year in Cincinnati, the Brisbane International here in Australia in 2024 as well. And, the only win that Mertens has over Rybakina goes back to 2021 on clay. So I just think that it's going to be Rybakina by how much in this one. Mertens will challenge her and push her to 2 tight sets for mine, but it'll be a straight sets victory. And we'll see Elena Rybakina push through into the quarterfinals alongside some of those other top seeds. There's some big names really still on the table in both the men's and the women's, which is great to see. A lot of the top seeds pushing through. We're going to get some of the best players playing in the quarters and semis, etc. from there. But as always, a big thank you for tuning in. It is getting a really exciting point of the Australian Open now. We're loving where things are heading. Alex de Minaur through into the quarterfinals is a positive. Madison Inglis on the biggest stage tomorrow night up against the world number 2 and multiple Grand Slam winner in Iga Swiatek. Great to see. Of course, make sure to hit like on the video if you enjoyed it. Hit subscribe to stay up to date with all of your tennis updates. And you can follow us along on our social media channels at The Chris Mack Show. You can find us on all your favourite social media channels, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, X. Plenty of content there, snippets for you. And we look forward to bringing you more tennis again tomorrow. But until next time, thank you for tuning into your home of the black and white of sports. No grey opinions here.